Okay, questions I get asked a lot. Thought I'd make a video on them, make it a little easier. I'll include some pictures and videos just to ease your understanding. Question 1, why do you use a Statius Warhammer? It lowers the defense of the boss. There's a little defense symbol with a minus sign on Telos when it hits. It has a 2-minute affinity duration, so it lasts through phases 1 to 4, but it doesn't last from phase 4 to 5. So if you want to use your hammer on P5, you have to do it mid-kill. I'd personally suggest doing it between the instant kills if you're at high enrage, but don't bother if you're at low enrages because it's a waste of money. When I say that, I mean don't do it on P5 at low enrage, because you can just get it done pretty quickly. Another question that's in relation to the Statius Warhammer: why do you use a Guthix staff if you have a Statius Warhammer? The Guthix staff I use on P4 because my affinity buff for the Statius Warhammer will most likely run out around P3 or P2, so use it on P4 just to hit, and it's also a really decent damage dealer on P5. You can hit 10k's with it, sunshined in the red beam. You just spam it every other ability while you're waiting for rocks to land on P5. It's really good and definitely worth the invent slot. Why do you have a Malevolent top in your invent? I either have a Malevolent top or a Teralith top, and that's just dependent on if I'm using power gear or Achto. I use that because it gives me a better hit chance with my hammer, and I also use the melee prey. Why do you have 2 wands in your inventory? It's a good question. One of them has Planted Feet and Aftershock on. That's the Wand of the Sire Elders, or the one from Hellware. My Wand of the Appraisal has Aftershock 3 on it. I'll put a on-screen explanation of what Planted Feet means and what it does. Why do you use Souls over Reaper at low enrages? I've most likely forgotten to change my preset, because I do use Reaper most of the time. A question I get asked a lot is what enrage do you switch to Achto? I switched to Achto at around 500% enrage, and I switched to Ancients at around 600%. It's just a lot safer that way. I will switch earlier if I end up risking something or some things, in the case of my recent videos. So yeah, it's all situational. If you're asking me out of interest, then that's my answer. If you're asking me for when you should switch, then you do that based on when you're starting to not one font it. So you need to start fonting minions, then start using Ancients, because you want the Ice Barrage to freeze them while you can run away and pray mage. You want to switch to Achto whenever you start taking too much damage, whenever you feel that you start taking too much damage. Okay, quite a common question. Do you know that you don't need the Pantheon aura in your inventory for the sign effect to work? Yes, I do know that. The only thing is, if I triple sign and I'm risking an orb, if something goes pretty badly downhill and I haven't got a Pantheon aura on me, then I'm just relying on the rest of the kill not to go badly. With a Pantheon, if I absolutely fuck up, I'll usually end up fucking up the rest of the kill. So I'll pretty much just put another Pantheon on in the middle of one of the specs and just be a lot safer. What perks are on your comp cape? I have Defense, Invention and Attack. If you aren't using Ancients, how do you deal with so much power on P2? You need to phase it at the right time, so the right amount of auto attacks before correlates to the right amount of auto attacks afterwards. I've got a P4 guide on YouTube that should help you understand that, but essentially if something does go wrong and you phase it at the wrong time, that's the reason that I bring an Arcane in my invent. You put it on, and you put Fortitude on, and it will soak up quite a large amount of the damage, but it will knock your prayer down, so you have to be quick on putting that back on. But vulnerability is very good, so that's why you use that over just sticking to Ancients. Rest in peace, Arcane Capacitor. Do you have a mic? I do. I just don't use it sometimes because I'm usually muted up because Braden's doing some autistic screeching in TeamSpeak or something like that. I'll just be like, nope. So yeah, if you come into the stream and it's just music blasting, then I do have a mic, I'm just not using it. Why are you risking Telos drops? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. I find it really fun. Telos for me is pretty boring until you get something, as I'm sure it is for everybody, but I'd much rather actually lose something doing a 0 to 1k streak than do a 0 to 1k streak and end up with no rare. So that's pretty much my thought on it. I think the pressure that it adds to it makes you better at the actual kills, and you learn something from it as well. Why do you click your auto attack occasionally? I click that because you can weave them in between your abilities. You can use it after pretty much any defensive and surge and a few ultimates such as Sunshine. It just adds more DPS. It's really hard to stop once you start doing it, so if you're not in a financial state, don't look into it because you'll ruin your bank. You start streaks at 0 or 100%. I start all my streaks at 0% now. I used to start them all at 100, but I'm really enjoying doing 0 to 1Ks. It's only an extra hour of melee Telos just to get from 0 to 100, and the loot ranges kind of stack up, so it's a bit nicer. For you personally, probably just start at 100. If you're not planning on doing a huge, admittedly egotistical streak, then just start at 100. Why don't you melee Telos? I do not enjoy meleeing Telos. Don't like P5, it's cluttered, it's not very structured at all. How do you get an auto with your Detonate? Yeah, I get that asked a lot. Use an auto by clicking on it on your action bar, and then use Detonate, and then you can use Wild Magic or any other ability after that, but the key part is auto and then Detonate, but they've got to be pretty much instantaneous, so like that, just bang bang. Why do you onslaught yourself in your house after every kill? You'll see me doing this sometimes when I'm pushing in rage. It's to remove the overload effect from the previous phase. So if you overload on P5, then it will last for 6 minutes, and say I've got 3 minutes left of that, I would normally have to wait the 3 minutes, because otherwise I can't use Berserk Blood Essence on P1 of the next kill. So by onslaughting in your house, you die, you don't lose any signs, it resets all your buffs and debuffs, and so you end up having no overload on, which means that you can successfully essence on P1 of the next kill without having to wait the 3 minutes. Finally, I get asked a lot what perks are in your gear. If you're in the stream, then I have a perks command. I also have a lot of other PvM based commands. You can do exclamation mark commands to find out on Nightbot, but I'll put a picture up of my perks that I use at Telos. I pretty much only mage anywhere, so that's the general gist of it.